Welcome to Fool's Ball, where fools always go two ways. So we've got this way, wait, this way, that way's neckbeard.
Yep.
So streaming straight from the Packers locker room, which is crazy. And on this way, we've got Chief Greengrass, who's coming from the Bear Den down there. Let's go to Chief Greengrass first. Since you are the king of the offseason, we're going to be going over the NFC North predictions today. What do you predict for this show, Chief Greengrass?
I think this is going to be a fantastic show. I believe that I may have a couple of different opinions than the two resident Packer fans.
Oh, yeah.
As to how their season's going to go. But all in all, I don't think the Vikings will be as bad as you guys every year. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of, it'll be some good conversations, I hope.
You love the Vikings. Dave's a Viking lover. Neckbeard.
I married one.
That's true. Yeah.
He lives in Minnesota, folks. They're converting him as we speak. That's what happens when you live in Minnesota.
Neckbeard's in the actual Packers locker room. I don't know if it's the current day locker room or old locker room, but how are you feeling about this show coming up and the predictions we're going to do?
I'm feeling pretty good. I always am, I think, overly optimistic at the start of the season, and then I get down and then I get up again. So we'll see how it goes. But
the roller coaster goes up to the top and it goes spanks and then comes back up.
No,
to my credit, I predicted they would win 11 games last year, so I hope I'm right again this year. I
know the text messages on my phone where you're very angry or very excited. It just goes back and forth.
Yep, that's how I live as a Packer fan. I'm never satisfied, and I'm never that upset. So, but I'm always
never enough.
Oh, you're always that upset.
Yeah. So
we're gonna roll over now into our beautiful display here, and Dave has put together this amazing spreadsheet, the king of the spreadsheets over here, technical wizard. And all right, so we're gonna go through all of these weeks, and where are we going up first with the Bears? Maybe Dave should steer us through the Bears.
Sure. As you can see here, I have us extending our longest winning streak of the year. We won in January, and then we're gonna win week 1 here in Minnesota, simply because of the fact that it's going to be basically a rookie quarterback. I think that's an amazing head coach, but I think it's in Chicago. I think we have a shot here, and that'll be our only victory for a while.
Do you notice I predict they're going to get more wins than you predicted?
That is kind of crazy.
You picked 8, I see. Yeah, me and Chief are both on 7, but Hype, you picked Minnesota to actually win this game. Why do you think the rookie quarterback's going to go in there and win?
Wait, which game are you talking to here?
The Minnesota Bears game, the first game of the week. You predicted Minnesota would win based on our chart here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's because I didn't put the 1 in there. That's how that works. Minnesota is a team. Minnesota team that wins by discipline and playing good, sound football and defense, and then just kind of letting the other team fall apart. And I feel like the Bears are still trying to figure themselves out in the beginning of the season, but the Vikings already have an identity. They don't have a quarterback, but they have a team identity, and that can just carry you to wins when other teams are unsure. I think that the Minnesota is going to open the season winning that one.
I get it. I think it's going to be a fun game. I mean, Monday night in Chicago, Ben Johnson's first game. See if the new Bear weapons actually come to fruition, right? I think it'll be good, but I do think the Bears are going to take their offseason championship and all their good graces from DePope, and they're going to pull that one out. They're going to start the season on a high so that they can slowly get crushed.
And then in week 2, Ben is going to go back home, and then reality is going to set in, unfortunately.
Yeah, that at Detroit game's tough. Dallas, Hype, you got Dallas losing to the Bears. Me and Dave both think Dallas are going to win that game. Why do you think Dallas is going to win? Or the Bears are going to – I'm sorry. Why do you think the Bears are going to beat Dallas?
I don't know if you guys have realized this, but the Bears never do what you expect. They're always winning games they're not supposed to, and losing games they're supposed to win.
Yeah.
They're just like a huge curveball. And I think the Dallas Cowboys, this is a problem. The Bears are a trap. Teams come in thinking it's just the Bears. They're not good. And then the Bears end up winning some of those games against good teams. And I think Dallas is another team that has a new coach. They think they're way better than they are. And I think their season's going to be a disaster. And I think the Bears are the Bears are the team that's smart enough to know to pounce on like a bear onto other teams when they're kind of making a mistake, and they'll take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Sure.
No,
Here's why I want to bring up the one column that we have. We have the MGM Grand, their over under win total right now, prediction for every team. So they have Dallas with a losing record. They have them only at 7.5 wins. So I think that you got Dak. If he's healthy, you have a second wide receiver option. It's going to be an explosive offense.
Yeah.
Coming back. But I think MGM kind of, Dallas.
I actually am in alignment with Vegas on these picks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think Dallas wins that game. I think they're better than people think, but hopefully Dallas only wins 7 or 8 games. I'd be all for that.
I have them I'm picking them to win like 3 games.
Yeah. So let's go down to the Washington game. Now, I picked Bears revenge in this game. I thought the Bears were going to get their revenge. Neither of you guys think it's going to happen. But I do think the Bears are going to go in and win that game for some reason. And obviously, everyone thinks they're going to beat the Saints because the Saints are the Saints, lose to Baltimore and Cincinnati, beat the Giants. But, Dave, you've got them beating Pittsburgh, and me and Hype didn't have them beating Pittsburgh. Why do you think they're going to beat Pittsburgh?
Because I think that they realize this is going to be their last chance to beat Aaron Rodgers, and they're sick of it. We have a new era, and the Pittsburgh offense, it's still not going to be as good as they want. Rodgers, it's going to be a little bit later in the year. Maybe it'll be a little bit windy in Chicago. He has an old man arm at this point, so I think we have a legitimate shot. It's going to be an ugly game. I think the first one to 24 points wins.
Yeah. And then you and me both have them losing at Green Bay week 14. Hype has them winning that game and then losing their home game to Green Bay. So we all have them going split. We all think they're going to split with the Packers. We just had it switched. And based on Hype, your explanation where the Bears don't do what you think they should, I mean, that kind of makes sense for your predictions.
Yeah, I feel like the Packers are definitely a better team, but that doesn't mean you win the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On paper, like they lose in the North, they are going to split it, I'm pretty sure.
I definitely think a Bears-Packers split is coming again. The Bears need to beat the Packers if they're ever going to be good, so it's a huge game for them. I think a Packers-Bears split is very plausible. Hype's got them winning at San Francisco and against Detroit the last week. Now, we talked about this, and I almost considered changing my vote because I do feel that Detroit may have the NFC North locked up on week 18, but not the number 1 pick. So they might sit people, which would give the Bears a free victory to 8 wins and a worse draft pick, which I wouldn't be upset about. But I still think Detroit's going to have to win that game. So I'm still going to say Detroit's going to win. But it was close for me because it is possible the Bears get a free win at the end of the year, just like they did against another team last year. So.
Well, the NFL schedule never goes how we really think it is. The best team doesn't always win. Like, what is the better team wins maybe like 65% of the time, right?
Yeah, 67, I think is the
I don't know. I just made up that stat, but for me, it's really about the Bears are a team that you like the Pack. They beat the Packers almost twice last year. It only was a fingertip away from beating the Packers twice in a season. Right. Everyone thought the Packers were going to be like a Super Bowl team. So like. You know what I mean? San Francisco tends to like have bad end of the season games or they're not playing well or people are hurt. Detroit was hurt a lot last year. I just think that I think the Bears win at least one of those 2 games, and I'm just putting down both of them.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see. I went back and forth in San Francisco too, because who knows what they're going to look like at the end of the season.
Bears are the team that you're just so worried about losing to, you end up losing to them.
Yeah, and the 49ers are bound to have a quarterback injury at some point, right? Is it going to be at the end of the year, the middle of the year? You know it's going to happen. So, that was a tough one. Yeah, the hardest one for me was probably, the Raiders game I went back and forth too, guys, because I think Genty's going to run wild on the Bears, but the Raiders' pass defense is awful. And I think Chicago and Ben Johnson are going to light him up. So I think that could be a really. And
they're going to be pissed at Genty for him going to the Raiders and that they didn't get him too.
Yeah, maybe. But I think Genty's gonna run all over him in that game. But it's going to be a Bears win like 30-27 or something like that. So, all right. So I've got 7 wins. Chiefs got 7 wins. Hype's got 8. But we all got the Bears out of the playoffs this year. Wah wah.
And under 500.
MGM had Bears at 8.5, so we went right under that. So if you are into gambling, don't
listen to me, is what you're saying.
If you want to win money, bet the under.
Yeah,
people get hurt every year. Always go the under, never bet the over.
Yeah, I agree. Under is a lot more likely than over for most teams. So, all right, let's move on to the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, look at that
Yes.
ridiculous hype up there. Way
Yeah.
too many wins. Let's get into
man.
this.
Way too many wins.
I predicted 11 last year. I'm predicting 12 this year. I don't feel good about it. I'm not going to lie. I don't feel good about it. This schedule stinks. Now, I'm not going to complain too much because I think the Bears schedule's worse. The Lions schedule's a bit worse, but they deserved it. They won their division. Like, they're supposed to have a harder schedule, but the Vikings got absolutely slaughtered. So I'm not going to complain too much. But if they don't win 12 games, if they win 11, I could go back and forth on that. But I think 12 is the max. So I went to the max. I think 12 is the max of where they're going to go. We all got them beating Detroit week 1, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. And then I got them beating Washington, but you guys think Washington's going to win. Why do you guys think Washington's going to win? Chief, what's your idea?
I really like what that head coach has done. He already had a year now to instill what he wants, put his fingerprint on there. The culture is there. They're able to get the right amount of draft picks. They're able to get the left tackle that they need to protect their franchise quarterback. I think they're really exciting. Green Bay's defense did surprisingly good for having a questionable secondary with the cornerbacks. Safeties are strong, but I think there will be all sorts of fireworks in there. Green Bay historically doesn't do the best against mobile quarterbacks. Yeah. This is going to be, if you have fantasy football assets all in this game, it will be a fun one to watch. 28 points probably won't be enough to win this one, but
I kind of agree with that. Yeah, Washington's always going to be fun to watch with Jayden Daniels.
Packers start the season slow usually. They usually start not looking so good, like not well put together. And a team like Washington that's high flying with a quarterback like that's like the poison for the Packers in the early season.
Yep, I can see it. But it is at home on a Thursday, so a short week for Washington. So I think that we may have a slight advantage there because we're at home week 1, right? And then we jump to a Thursday game at home again.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's a bit of an advantage there.
Thursday game.
Yeah. So I kind of just wanted to be different and I threw a win in there. But I also, we go into the Cincinnati game. I think the Packers are going to beat Cincinnati just because of the same reason you said, Doug. Cincinnati's like still gearing up to be a juggernaut by week 6. I think if we played Cincinnati like week 9 or later, we wouldn't have a chance. But I think in the first half of the season, there's a good chance we can take Cincinnati at home after a bye. But I have us losing to Pittsburgh 2 weeks later because, I mean, I hate to look at this now because I predicted them to win their first 6 games, which is just not going to happen. I know it's not. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm putting it on the sheet anyway. It's too late now. I got to live up to it. But if the Packers start 6-0, I'm definitely going to be talking a lot of smack. But I know that's not going to happen. But I do have us losing to Pittsburgh to ruin everyone's hopes and dreams. So that's also very possible of the Packers. But we're really close here. Me and Hype are really close. Dave's got the Packers going on a massive losing streak to end the year. Dave, explain yourself in a non-Bears way, in a real way. Explain yourself.
In a real way?
Yeah.
I think that at Denver, that's going to be a stellar defense. That's going to be a very tough matchup. Young quarterback, but they got a great head coach. It's going to be by the end of the season. So that's effectively going to have a 2-year starter for the quarterback in that offense when you're talking that many games. I like Sean Payton a lot. At Chicago, coin flip, whether it's, in Chicago or whatnot, like you said before, we had them split. Baltimore coming to Green Bay. Baltimore loves to run the ball. I know Green Bay has they had a decent run defense last year, but I just believe more in Baltimore with King Henry and whatnot. If he's still healthy, he's an old man, but he just got $25 million to keep hammering away. And at Minnesota, I think that's just going to be them. Okay, we didn't have the season that we hoped for, but I believe in the head coach, and they'll just be okay. We just want to go out on a good note.
So Dave has the Packers winning 8 games, 7 of which before week 11 and 1 after. So they're going to go 1. See, that's almost less realistic than my 6-0, just to be honest with you.
Well, even if I'll say, there's probably one other win in there at, between week 12 and 18, there's one more win that I'm not picking. It's tough for me to call where it is. I know you guys don't like me having the Vikings beat y'all twice, but what did they do last year? What did they do with you last year? They beat you twice with Sam Darnold.
They did. And
I think Sam Darnold's better than JJ McCarthy by a lot. So
we haven't seen him yet. And they got a stronger interior line. Green Bay still can't get that pass rush up the middle.
So
I
let's
don't know if
remember
you
the
looked
first
at their D
game,
tackles.
he had like 3 turnovers in the first 8 minutes, and then we dropped 30 on him in the second half, and they barely ended up winning that game. And then in the Minnesota game, we were in it too, had another turnover. But you know what? Credit to the Vikings. They were very good last year. They're still, I think, going to be a very tough team this year, but J.J. McCarthy is not going to have a Sam Darnold year where he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. It's just not going to happen. So
I think at best you finish 3-4. I think 2-5 is more realistic.
Did you see Sam Darnold in the playoffs when teams figured him out? They got crushed. Like the Vikings had no chance.
So
right.
So the Vikings went out and they solidified their interior line to fix that.
They did. They did a lot of good work on the line. I'll give them credit, but their actual pass defense is one of the worst in the league. I mean, their cornerbacks and safeties are not good. And no offense to the Vikings players and the Vikings fans, you guys know you wanted guys like you wanted a cornerback in the draft, you wanted a safety in the draft. That's what you should have got. You didn't. The Vikings are gonna give up points. They do have a very good pass rush. They have good outside linebackers. Brian Flores is an excellent defensive coordinator. He's gonna throw a lot of different looks at you. But here's the thing: once you've seen that defense more and more, those looks aren't going to fool you as often. And that pass defense is rough, man. Their pass defense is rough. I think the Packers are going to beat them twice. So I have no doubt in my mind they're going to at least split.
And now we have a real number 1 receiver, guys. Okay.
Yeah, well, Matthew Golden. But yeah, I got the Packers winning 12 games, guys. I think I'm crazy, but I predicted 11 last year. I hope I'm right again. But I don't have them winning the division, actually, and we'll get to that later.
But do you see how even hype has them finishing 3-3?
No, I get that
out.
Well, I have them losing. I have them finishing 3-3 as well. So I have them losing to Detroit, Denver, and Chicago. It's that 6-0 start, Dave. It's that really, really good start that I gave them. It kind of throws it all off. No, the end of the Packers schedule is a gauntlet, but it's not as bad as the beginning of the Vikings schedule.
No.
Let's talk about a gauntlet. Now, dude, the poor Vikings, and I've never said that before in my life, but these poor Vikings have got an awful schedule. Oh my gosh. So at Minnesota, we've got hype predicting them to win. He predicted, we already talked about that. Yep. He predicted the Vikings to win. Then they got Atlanta on Sunday Night Football. We all think they can take that game. Cincinnati at home, at Pittsburgh, which is Sunday Night Football, at Cleveland and Ireland. And then they get an early bye, just like the Packers. I mean, these early byes are awful. So so hype, you've got them going 4-1 to start the season, but not.
I feel like they're going to either be 0-4 or 4-0 in the first 4 games. Like either they're the Vikings are kind of the team where they play like disciplined football. So like traveling and doing all this stuff, I don't think it's going to affect them that much. They always play kind of the consistent same football all the time. They were in every game in last year, like every single game they were in. They did not really flop.
Because I don't know if you heard this, Derek. But it came out today that a certain Caleb Williams wanted to play for this brilliant head coach in Minnesota. He did not want to play for the Bears after meeting him.
Oh, no.
I can't say that I blame him.
Nope. I mean, hey, which quarterback would want to go die in Chicago? It is the death of quarterbacks. His dad was 100% right.
Oh,
and to Caleb's credit, I understand why he did it. I think we all did. And this isn't me talking crap about the Bears because they haven't had a good quarterback since Sid Luckman. But to his credit, he didn't try to blow it up. He didn't do the bad thing. He let things play out, and now I think he's in a really good place with Ben Johnson, a lot of weapons. It turned out okay for him so far. We'll see how it goes. But like
credit to Caleb. GM has done what he wanted, but
I mean, credit to Caleb for not being a super prima donna. I totally get why his dad and his family and his agent didn't want him to go to Chicago. Everybody knows, even Bears fans know.
But I think Doug, his early prediction for the schedule, that's all the credit in the world to that head coach. It's a pretty good defensive coordinator too.
Well, we're losing to Cincinnati, but those other teams are easily beatable.
No, they are. And honestly, I have the Vikings winning 2. I mean, Chiefs got them winning 2. Doug's got them winning 4. We all have them losing to Philadelphia. We got the Chargers in there. Okay, so let's talk about this Viking schedule because they've got these road games. They've got an international game. They get a bye, and then they come back to Philadelphia, the Chargers, Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago, Green Bay. That is absolutely horrific. Every single one of those teams is a very difficult game because you got 2 conference games right there, and then you got Baltimore, who finished with a top 5 record, Detroit, who finished with a top 2 record, the Chargers, who are just getting better, and Philadelphia, who won the Super Bowl. That's a gauntlet. And so this is what I'm saying. Even if they start off the season good with with their really good coaching staff and their defense is playing well. When they come back from that bye, if they win a couple of these games, I will 100% say I was wrong about the Vikings, but I think they are going to have an absolutely horrid stretch here, and it's going to get to them, and it's going to affect the rest of the season, and they're going to have a hard time getting back. That's just my opinion, because this schedule is, I think, personally, the hardest in the NFL.
And what if J.J. McCarthy gets hurt?
What's that?
Again, what if McCarthy has hurt or his leg is messed up? You know what I mean? What if he's not fully back?
I mean, and that's the other thing. I think it's going to take him a while to get into it. And while he's doing that, they're playing primetime games. They're playing hard games. They're traveling internationally. Then they have a bye. Okay, cool. Take a break. Oh, by the way, here's 6 brutal games in a row. Absolutely brutal games. There isn't a cupcake team on there. Dude, even Seattle is a revenge game, right? Sam Darnold revenge game. That's not a cupcake. Then you got Washington, NFC Championship. Who knows how good Dallas is going to be. And then finally the Giants, maybe a cupcake game. Like, geez, man. I got to say, I think the Vikings schedule is the hardest. The Bears have a brutal road schedule. They have a bad schedule overall. Like I said, the Lions do. I complain about the Packers bye week, but I think this Viking schedule is the hardest in the NFL, the way it's set up with the travel, the gauntlet of games in the middle. I think it's going to hurt them bad, and they're only going to win in 6, maybe 7 games, maybe 8. But, like, I got them 6 here because I just can't see them getting over.
Yeah, without having this brutal schedule and traveling, they might be a 9-win team or something if J.J. McCarthy can be good. But, like, it's just going to be too tough to keep it up.
I mean, depending on how they do this year, if they only win 7 games, but they're in all these games, I might be somebody that says, hey, next year, the Vikings are an 11-win team, right? Again, or a 12-win team because they have the talent. They have the coach, like you guys said. But rookie quarterback, brutal schedule. I think it's going to hurt them a little bit. They don't have a great running game. I love Aaron Jones forever, but he's getting a little slower, a little older. He never stays healthy. I worry about McCarthy, like, being able to carry that team because he never carried Michigan. And even though he's a very talented player and they have a lot of talented players around him, he's still going to have to carry a lot of that offense if the running game doesn't get going. So we'll see how it goes.
Last year, everything went well for the Vikings. Aaron Jones was relatively healthy. Yeah. Their quarterback played great. Everything just went as good as it possibly could.
Their defensive turnover ratio was so high. It was crazy. Yeah. Like, that normally doesn't happen 2 years in a row.
They're still going to be a decent team. They'll just not win every single close game.
Yeah, dude, the Vikings are crazy, though, because they go 1 year where they win like 7 one-score games, and then the next year they win 2, and then the next year they win 8. So I think, guys, this is the year where they win the 2 one-score games, and then next year they'll probably win 8 again. So that's kind of what I'm seeing for the Vikings, you know. But yeah, I guess a lot of it is we have 8-7-6. We're kind of similar here. There's a few where we're a little off.
I think they end on a high note. You see me, I have them going 5-1 down the stretch, just because Washington's defense, I think it can be had. Dallas's defense can be had, and the Giants. So that's more what I believe in the head coach, what he can do with those weapons there.
And I could see that too, Dave. Like, once they play that gauntlet, like, and JJ gets some confidence and like he gets more used to the system and he's healthier, right? Because again, this injury that he had. A lot of people say it's more of an 18-month injury. It's not a year long. It's longer. So he could start slow. He could get his athleticism back at that point. He could start running a lot more, because he is a very good athlete, guys. He ran really well in college. I think he'll do that a lot in the NFL. And I think that might start to show up more as the season goes on. So, yeah, I could see them being a lot better at the end of the year. But
they would have dug themselves into too big of a hole, but at least it makes them really optimistic for 26, I think.
Yeah, no, I think it's a decent call, Dave, but I also don't think that I've ever seen a 3-9 team finish the year with like 6 wins either. So I did see that you moved Dallas off of there, but yeah. I think Dave had them at one point winning like their last 7 games after they won after they only won 1 game or something. But yeah. Dude, the Vikings are a bit of a crapshoot with this schedule and their quarterback. It's really hard to predict, but we've got them. Yeah, we've got them at 7 on average, guys. 7 wins. All right. Any other games stick out here for you guys that you think are going to be interesting for the Vikings?
Well, the last 2 games this season, Detroit and Green Bay, like, they're probably going to be trying to play spoiler there. So that might really motivate them to win those 2 games like Dave has them there. So that kind of does make sense for me.
Yep.
The Vikings are like I talked about the Bears. They kept winning all these games that they weren't supposed to win last year. The NFC North was like kind of like doing really amazing and great, but I just don't know, man. J.J. McCarthy is such a wild card of like whether he's gonna be able to play well. And last year, Sam Darnold played extremely well for them. Without really good quarterback play, they are just going to fall apart, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not saying that, JJ's not going to be good. I just think it's going to take him a little while to get there.
Yeah, they just won't be a playoff team. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be like,
All right, and let's move on to the team that I think we all picked to win the division. Now, I did have the Packers to win 12 games, but because of their their division record, the Lions, I actually have a better division record, so they would actually win the division. I got them at 12, Hype at 12. Dave's got them at 11. So, but we've all got them losing to Green Bay week 1. Hooray! So, and then beating the Bears. So, dude, I think, did we all pick Baltimore to go undefeated? Oh, no, I picked the Packers to beat Baltimore. That's right. But yeah, so I've got them losing at Cincinnati, and then Cincinnati losing to the Packers next week. But I've also got them beating KC. I threw a weird one in there. I feel like they're going to beat a really good team. They're still a really good team. They lost a coordinator. But is there any outliers? Let's see any outliers. Okay, so we got Kansas City game.
Yeah, I like that at Kansas City game because last year Kansas City pulled so many that they shouldn't have won.
Right.
The Lions are just solid all the way across. They can just run at KC all day. And I think Hutchinson being healthy, I think he'll be able to get to Mahomes. So
yeah, I think so too. I think that's going to be a close game. So I'm taking the Lions in that one. I also took them to beat Philadelphia because somebody's got to beat Philadelphia. I feel like Philadelphia is not going to go 17-0. Maybe it'll be Washington or somebody else, but I feel like middle of the season, Philadelphia might have a loss here or there. So I gave it to the Lions, but I also have them losing then to Tampa Bay, just like they did last year, just to be interesting. Do I think Tampa Bay's better than the Lions? No, but maybe Baker just has that magic against him. Who knows, right? But yeah, we all got the Lions making the playoffs. What games are you guys looking forward to? Or you guys maybe we're going back and forth on for the Lions that was hard to pick? Chief, what jumps out for you on this Lions schedule?
Maybe the Chiefs game.
All right, the Chiefs game and the Rams game.
Yeah, so me and you have them losing to the Rams, which I think is very plausible. Hype's got him winning, but that game for me is 50-50. Like, I think the Rams are going to be good. If the Rams are healthy by week 15, I think the Rams win. I think if there's a few injuries to the Rams, which always seems to happen, then the Lions will obviously take it. But the Lions had all those injuries last year, and they still won 15 games, guys. So
Devontae Adams, he's old, but he's never really had injuries too much.
Right.
So he's reliable. So you think, okay, is he over the age cliff? And then you got a 35-year-old quarterback.
Yeah, Stafford.
You have a young star wide receiver who's doesn't finish seasons, or he misses games every year with Puka.
Right.
So that one could easily go the Lions' way.
Yeah, I'm more worried about Stafford's health than anything else. I think Stafford's like a year or two from being done, and maybe even one bad injury from being done. And he's had a lot in his career. And I mean, I wish him the best, but we'll see if he stays healthy the whole year. We'll see if Puka stays healthy the whole year. Because that Rams team doesn't have a lot behind Puka, other than Adams, of course, right? So but I still think the Rams will be good and they can win that game. And then Hype's got them losing to Chicago, like we talked before, in case they're resting guys because they already won the division, right?
They could be resting guys, but the NFC North is crazy. Teams win games they probably shouldn't win, and at the end of the season, the Bears, halfway through the season, there's always this thing of the Bears are a sneaky team. Oh, they're kind of better than we thought, and they're kind of sneaking up and beating teams that you just wouldn't expect. And especially in the division. So I think that's going to happen here. And I have the Lions winning 6 games in a row before that. So
yeah,
I just think that there's no way they're going to win 7 in a row there. There's going to be some game there that they lose.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, the NFC North has a tough schedule this year. The teams are all going to be pretty decent. And so I think they're all going to kind of mostly split the games versus each other.
Yeah, I think the Lions are still the best team in the division without question, even with losing their coordinators. I mean, they had all those injuries last year. They could put up 40 on just about anybody because they had to sometimes. I don't see that season for the Lions. I see more of a a little bit more of a running game, a little bit more of a gritty team that doesn't have to score 40 because I think the defense is going to be better. I think the defense is going to be better just because it's going to have manpower versus the offense is not going to have to score as many points. It's not going to be as much of a track meet. So, but I still think the Lions are going to win a lot of games. I just think it's going to be not maybe as exciting and pretty as it was last year.
And they lost their
Right.
coordinator. Their offense might not be quite as explosive.
Exactly, but they still got explosive players. I mean, Amon-Ra,
Right.
Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta. I mean, they
Jameson
got
Williams.
Jameson Williams. Yeah, maybe this is the year he steps up. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, their OC sounds like he's gaga over what Jameson's going to do this year. So it'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm excited for the season. How about you guys?
I'm excited for the season to start. The rest of the the beginning, the Packers at home against the Lions. Here we see that we have all of us are picking the Packers to win. I think it's gonna be a super, super exciting season with all these new players that we have. The offense and the Bears and the Packers, I think, are gonna elevate with all the guys that they picked.
Right.
And it's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be a big show. I'm not sure how it's all gonna shake up. I don't know where the teams are really gonna end up. It's gonna be crazy. I don't think our predictions are going to be exact here. I think so crazy stuff's going to happen. The Lions could end up in third place and have injuries. The Bears could be second in the division if their offense figures itself out. Who knows?
Yeah, JJ McCarthy could be better than Sam Darnold. It's possible. Do you know what I mean?
Like, or he could be terrible.
Or he could be awful, right? Or maybe the Bears are a lot better than we think they were with Ben Johnson and that offensive weapons going there. Maybe the Packers, offense doesn't take off with Golden. Maybe there's issues or injuries, right? We had injuries to Love last year. That's something that's so hard to predict is who's going to stay healthy, right? Staying healthy is huge. The teams that can overcome it tend to be pretty good. The Packers did a decent job overcoming it. The Lions did an amazing job overcoming it. The Vikings didn't really have many injuries last year. I think that was another reason why they were so good. Oh, yeah. And the Bears just kind of had I think a mental injury with their old head coach. So
their old head coach and the offensive coordinator who couldn't review film with his quarterback.
Dude, right? Yikes. Oh, man. Way to go.
But I want to say this season, this schedule, it's brutal. But this is exactly what the North needed.
We need a brutal season schedule so we can win some playoff games, maybe.
Exactly. Last year,
not go 0-3 in the playoffs right off the bat because that was not good. That was not
everyone had a great year. The records look good, but when the playoffs mattered, they weren't tested. This year, they're going to be tested. So even if there's only one team that makes it to the playoffs, they should be much better suited to make a deep run.
Yep.
Hopefully 2 teams, but we'll see.
And if the Packers end up being healthy and Christian Washington comes back from injury at the end of the season and can play decently, they have 2 guys that are going to be insane athlete burners. That's what Jordan Love really likes. So their offense might be hitting on all cylinders when that happens. And just defenses are because what happens is those defenses then have to play back, and that's when the Packers offense actually can work. When they can pull up to the line, the Packers are not very good on offense when the defense can just come down.
Jordan Love needs to throw bombs, and he throws really good deep balls sometimes. Not every time.
He's got the guys to do it now.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's got a good arm, so he needs to throw bombs. It opens up the offense. It opens up the running game. So
it'll settle the offense down. Jordan Love, when he starts connecting on those long bombs, he settles down and starts playing better.
Right.
That's kind of how he plays. If he can't get those long bombs going, the offense just doesn't look good.
Yep. So we got Lions in first, pretty much all of us. I think Packers in second for me and Doug. I think, Chief, you had the Vikings in second, then Packers third. We had the Bears third and Vikings last. Dave, did you have the Bears last in the division?
I did.
Wow.
Barely, though.
Yeah, but still.
Barely, yes.
He's got, don't tell that to the Pope that you put the Bears in last place. So all right. Well, this was great. We're going to do this again for every single one of the divisions, guys. I think next maybe we should switch over to AFC North, maybe switch to the other side of the pond and then go back to the NFC and go back and forth. But we'll come out with another one next week and we'll do this again. This was great, guys.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.